Welcome to another episode of the Bottom of the Stream Movie Show. My name is Adam.
My name's Nick. Welcome aboard the stream boat. We're casting out, looking for another hidden gem at the bottom of the stream.
We are indeed. I wonder if we'll find one this week.
I hope so.
Do you want to be the giver or the receiver?
I think that I used to like receiving, and as I've got older, I see more pleasure in the giving.
Okay, cool. You be the giver, I'll be the receiver. That's how I've always judged our relationship. So,
obviously, cool. I'm fine with that.
Cool, sweet. If you don't know what we're talking about, this week's movie that we're going to talk about is a film called The Giver. It is released in 2014. It is a 12A. It runs for 1 hour and 37 minutes and is currently rated at 6.4 out of 10 on IMDb.
Feels high.
It feels high.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think 6.4 is high.
Okay.
For the films we do, that is high.
Yeah, that is high for the films we do.
And I think there's some issues here.
Okay.
With this movie.
Let's
break it down.
That's what we're here for. We'd be a bit boring if we didn't. This film stars a guy called Brenton Thwaites. Or is it Brendan or Branton? I think it's Branton. I've written Brendan, but I think his name's Branton. Should know. He's been on the show 3 times before.
I think it's Benton.
It's not.
It's not Benton.
I
don't
think
anyone's
definitely not
called
Benton.
Benton.
That dog was in that GIF years ago. That viral video years ago. It's Brenton Thwaites.
Yeah.
I should know his name. He's been on our show 3 times before.
Has he? What's he been in?
2 times before. This is his 3rd appearance on the show.
Hat-trick.
He was in Ghost of War.
Yep.
And he was also in Office Uprising.
He was in Office Uprising.
He was indeed. So this is his 3rd appearance on Bottom of the Stream. However, this is the earliest film that he made that we've done.
That explains...
Both of those 2 films came after
That
this.
explains it, because he did look young in this.
He did look young in this. He's 24 in this.
This is quite an old film now.
Yeah, it's 8 years old. It's 2014. So he was 24 when he made this film. Talking to people who don't look young in this film also stars Jeff Bridges.
Looks younger now.
He does look younger now. I don't know what's happened. He does look younger now. He plays The Giver.
He does.
He has the title role in this movie. Obviously, Jeff Bridges is super famous. Most famous probably Big Lebowski, True Grit.
Pick one.
He's just recently been in The Old Man on Disney Plus. That sounds wrong.
The Giver has been in The Old Man.
With John Lithgow.
I don't know how we're going to get through this movie.
With John Lithgow. That's a really good show. Check it out. Also, this film... I'm just going to keep going. Also, this film stars Meryl Streep.
Sure.
She is credited as the Chief Elder. She has no name.
Oh, good. I just called her Meryl because I had no freaking idea what she was called.
She's not given a name in the film. She's credited as the Chief Elder. We've debated before who is the most famous person we've ever had on the show.
Yeah.
She might not be the most famous. She's definitely the most decorated.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean,
Meryl Streep's had 21 Oscar nominations.
I don't know how do you cut most famous, but in terms of who's got the heaviest mantelpiece, it's this lady.
Yeah, 100%. She's had 21 Oscar nominations.
Yeah.
She's only won 3, and all 3 of them have been in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she's definitely.
Yeah, but she was also in Mamma Mia, so, you can't win them all.
Exactly, you can't. She's definitely the most decorated. The argument remains of who's the most famous.
Yeah.
But fame is subjective, isn't it?
Of course.
This film was written by Michael Mitnick and Robert B. Vide. Most famous, obviously, for Curb Your Enthusiasm, probably.
Yeah, certainly the early seasons, yeah.
It was based on a book. A book was written by Lois Lowry.
I read a bit about this book.
Did you?
Yeah.
Go on.
It's a really influential book,
right.
Particularly in the States, and actually in many schools is like a curriculum text.
I can see that.
And you can see that because of some of the themes
there's
it deals
themes in
with.
this. Yeah, there's themes in this film.
I think you could do... I'll try not to give too much away. I think you could do some really interesting lessons and debates with some of the themes in this movie.
Yeah.
Better than this movie does it.
Okay.
I think. I mean, yeah, we'll get into it, but you can see why this would be a good text and good
definitely.
material to spark.
I think the film's strayed
minds.
quite a long way from the book as well.
Okay.
I think there's. I know the main character's ages are completely different.
I also read
in the film than they are in the
that
book.
This was a bit of a passion project of Jeff Bridges.
I've got that written down later on, but yeah, it was. He apparently had this. He brought the rights for it 20 years before the film was made.
Yeah.
And he even made it himself with his family. He's got his dad to play the title role, and he played the younger role.
Right.
And his cousin directed it, and there's apparently a finished film out there somewhere in Jeff Bridges' garage of them making this film. The whole film's been made by Jeff Bridges' family because it's a complete passion project for him. He wanted to make it for 20 years.
Wow.
But he eventually got it made 21 years after the book was released.
Why haven't we heard of this movie?
This is my big question. What's happened to this movie? Why did it... Well, we'll get to it, I guess, but why did it just disappear to the bottom of the stream?
Yeah.
Because it should... Everything about it... I've not even got to the director yet.
No.
Everything about this movie is star. It's directed by Philip Noyce.
Yeah.
If you don't know Philip Noyce, he directed Patriot Games.
Yes.
He directed Clear and Present Danger. He directed Rabbit Proof Fence. He directed The Saint. He directed The Bone Collector. He's made a lot of good films in the mid-90s. But there's star power here. This is not the bottom of the stream film.
We even had to double check last week.
Yeah.
Can we do this?
Yeah, because does it break our rules?
People, are we the baddies? Because we've not heard of this.
Yeah.
And it's got all these people in, and it's directed by this guy. And surely this was a notable movie 8 years ago.
Yeah. But it wasn't.
No.
Nobody's heard of this movie. Even Ross Cook hasn't seen this movie. Ross Cook's seen every movie. I've got a few more facts about it. Do you want to know some more facts about it?
Please.
It's the first time in history that Jeff Bridges and Meryl Streep worked together.
Okay.
Which is surprising considering they've both been around for as long as they have. And similar styles of films as well. The red carpet premiere of this movie happened the night that Robin Williams was found dead.
Oh, wow.
So apparently Jeff Bridges and Robin Williams were really close, and it was a really difficult night for Jeff Bridges to be at a premiere.
Wow.
And that might be one of the reasons why it got overshadowed, I guess. Also, another sad thing, Alexander Skarsgard is also in this movie. We've not even mentioned him. This is his fourth appearance on Bottom of the Stream. He's already in the Captain's Gallery. He needs to be elevated. He only signed on for this film for one reason.
Yeah.
He wanted to work with Meryl Streep.
Okay.
He never met her.
I knew you were going to say that.
Never met. Meryl Streep recorded all of her scenes in a different country because she's mostly a hologram. So she could just do it on a green screen wherever. So she never met any of the other cast. There's one scene, I think, where she's in a room with Jeff Bridges.
Yes.
That's it. So, yeah, Alexander Skarsgård never met her whilst he was filming this movie, and it's the only reason he signed up to be in it.
I like that fact.
It's a good fact, isn't it? I enjoyed it.
Katie Holmes is in this movie.
Katie Holmes is in this
Didn't
movie.
even mention that.
Taylor Swift's in this movie.
Yeah, and she's...
Briefly.
Yeah.
But she wasn't massively famous.
Yes, 8 years ago.
Was she?
Yes.
I don't know much about her.
It's still like a bit of stunt casting, but yeah, she was.
Okay, fair enough. She's barely in it.
No.
I don't think she has any lines, maybe one or two.
Yeah, a couple.
But, yeah, there's star power here. Big star power.
Yeah.
Do you have a one-word review?
Give it away now.
Oh, that's good. I thought you were going to go dirtier than that, so I'm quite proud of you.
I figure that'll just happen naturally throughout the course of this episode.
Where does this film start, Nick?
There's some words on the screen.
Some words on the screen. Do you want to know what the words on the screen are?
If you want, yeah.
From the ashes of the ruin, the communities were built, protected by the boundary. All memories of the past were erased.
Yeah, good.
Doesn't give much away.
No.
But basically, these people don't remember anything of their previous... Something's gone wrong. It's post-apocalyptic, I guess. Something's gone wrong with the world. We've rebuilt a community, and nobody remembers what the old world was like.
That's all you need to know.
That's
all you're getting. So.
The film starts in black and white.
It does.
And Brenton Thwaites is doing a voiceover. His character's called Jonas. I don't know if I said that during the...
He says, "My name is Jonas." I'm like, that's one of my favourite Weezer songs.
Great song as well. Also, I like it when films introduce what your character's called, because we watch so many films where it's really difficult to know what everybody's called.
First 2 pages of my notes, I'm like, oh yeah, I don't know what this guy's called.
Yeah, who's this guy? Brenton. I refer to Meryl Streep all the way through as Meryl.
He does a voiceover, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Sorry.
he's basically saying after the room we started again. There was rules put in place. We can't.
So I wrote a couple of them. We use precise language.
Yes.
We wear only our assigned clothing.
We have no last names.
We obey curfew.
Yep.
And we do not lie.
Yep. No differences allowed. No conflict, no fear, no pain, no envy. Hate. It was all gone. So it sounds like an idealistic community to live in.
I did feel we were getting a lot of info here just because they couldn't be bothered to build the world, though.
It's difficult to build a world that's so different.
Yeah, because we get all that.
You have to build it early
and then literally as Jonas is riding his bike to go meet his friends, in the voiceover, he just says, well, yeah, but I'm not like everyone else.
Yeah.
I think I'm special.
Yes.
So there's no, part of this isn't following on him on his journey to discover that.
No, we already know that. He already knows that.
We're literally told in the voiceover.
Yeah. I think I like it better that it's not just written on the screen though, because a lot of films would start with that.
Yeah.
And at least he's talking us through what's going on as we're looking around the community. We're seeing people, we're meeting people. We meet his two best friends. We meet Asher and Fiona. At this point as well, he's kind of cycling. They're going into like school, aren't they? Or wherever they're heading.
I would have liked more Asher in this movie. We could have had a brimful.
Asher's played by Cameron Monaghan. He's also really famous. He's in.
Listening to me.
Sorry.
We could have had a brimful of him.
Oh. Sorry. I was just going off on a tangent of Cameron Monaghan's also in this film. He was in the American version of Shameless.
He was in. Was he in Gotham?
Yeah, I think he was.
I think he was the joke, like the young.
Yeah,
Joker
I think he was
in Gotham. Yeah.
Brimful of Asher. That's a funny joke. I apologise for talking over that. Jonas's voiceover finishes on the line, "Should I apologise for what I did? I'll let you decide."
Yeah.
And that's the end of his voiceover.
So he's actually telling the past.
He's telling the story. Yeah. He's recapping this story.
They just cycle. They're on these like futuristic yet also not futuristic bikes.
Yeah, they've
like
just got built-in wheels.
Yeah. There was a phase of that, wasn't it? We used to have like discs on your
disc wheels and things. Yeah.
And the camera like starts to pan back, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And they all live on top of a mountain.
Yeah, they live on a flat plain on top of a mountain. Yeah. So, and it's explained later on. There's no hills because that creates weather, and we don't want weather. There's no snow because we don't want to
famine and
crops
to die.
So they're completely controlling. They only want the good parts of humanity in this. And this is a movie. That sort of thing never ends well in movies. No, it just doesn't. And they're still classed as children, although they are about to go into a ceremony to find their purpose. Because when you get to a certain age, you get assigned a job.
Yeah.
And
in the community.
So these three are still classed as children in this community, but they're about to become adults.
Until like tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah. So they go and meet Jonas's dad, and they're kind of helping him out with his job.
Yeah, they've been doing a bit of work experience.
Yeah, I guess so.
And he works in like basically a nursery.
He weighs babies.
Yeah.
That's his job. I guess there's a lot of twins that get born.
I was making my notes and I couldn't remember the word nursery. So my note says they go to see some babies at the baby centre.
That's a much better name. Basically, it appears like a lot of twins get born in this community. And Jonas's dad works by weighing the babies and deciding if they're ready to be assigned yet.
Yeah, to a family.
Because the families are also not how we perceive families. You are assigned a family and you go and live with those people. It's not necessarily your mum. He calls them mum and dad, but they're not his necessarily paternal.
Because you get jobs. One of the jobs you can have, as it turns out, in this community is to be a birth mother.
Yeah. So you can have just sprout babies out and then they'll get assigned to families. That sounds like the worst job.
Yeah, that's pretty
you don't want that
inhumane,
job.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Just as remember, this film's completely in black and white. At one point, Fiona brushes her hair with her hands, and he sees the redness in her hair.
Yeah, Jonas sees this flash of colour.
Yeah, and he's confused because he's never seen colour. The film's not only in black and white; their lives are in black and white. They don't see colour.
My first question is, how do you take colour out of
the world? Science fiction.
Okay, fine. So that's just done by this genetic engineering.
Yes, I guess so.
Fine. And that's literally all the science you've just given me there is more science than is in this movie.
Yeah, there's some explanation, but there's not a lot of
explanation.
There's not a lot of explanation of how they've managed to do this.
I have a big plot point on that later on.
We'll get to it. So he sees this red flash in her hair, and he's confused by this because he's never seen colour before. He has no idea what he's perceiving.
Sure.
I've written here they live like robots. Their dinner gets delivered to them on trays, and it seems like it's all pre-assigned to what they can eat. And
every house looks the same. The furniture's the same, so it's just like
every morning they have to go and get injections to. It turns out to quell their emotions. And Jonas is terrified. Tomorrow they're going to this assignment
Coming
ceremony.
of age ceremony.
Yeah, it's got a name. I've written it down. The ceremony of something I can't remember it, but it's got a name. We'll get to it. The ceremony of advancement. Okay, it's called. So he's going to that tomorrow, but he's terrified that he doesn't feel like he has a place.
Yes.
He doesn't feel ready to be assigned to any job. He isn't ready for, say, to be a pilot or to be a birth mother or whatever. So he's a bit terrified. He doesn't really know his place in the world. And then we cut straight to the annual ceremony of advancement. So this is where everybody goes up a level.
Correct.
So the old people it starts with the old people. That's called the ceremony of the release to elsewhere. So basically, when you get to a certain age, you're out.
Yeah.
Out of the community. That feels normal. Don't know why that's not a problem. That basically gets rid of all the old people. And then there's I think it was called the ceremony of assignment.
Oh no, you forget the bit in the middle. So when you're 9, you get a bike.
That was next.
Oh,
sorry. So the old people get gone.
Yeah.
The babies get assigned, and then the ceremony of the grown, I think it was called. That when you're 9 years old, you get given a bike because you go from being a toddler to a child, and so everybody's moving up a level. And then it was called the ceremony of the grown. I've written here, and then the ceremony of advancement begins, and all I guess they're teenagers. I think they're like 18.
They say 18.
Do they say 18?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All the 18-year-olds get given job roles. So there's like 100 and something of them lined up ready on the stage. Asher gets given his job first. He is to become a drone pilot.
Yeah.
That's his job. That's what he will now do.
The
for
whole
the rest
community is being
monitored.
Yeah.
Monitored by these elders who are using the drones to monitor people. So he's going to be that. And it goes through in number order. And Jonas's number gets skipped.
It does.
And he gets left standing there. Fiona gets given the role of nurturer, which is the same role that Jonas's dad does.
Yeah, so basically
she's
a nanny.
Going to be a nanny and the kid weigher. And it goes through 102 of these people. We don't see them all, obviously, but it goes through 102.
And you have like gardener.
Yeah.
You know,
janitor.
But
all the way up to leader.
Yeah.
There's all sorts. But Jonas ends up and he's alone on the stage. He's been completely left there alone. And did I mention that Meryl Streep popped up and did all of this? I didn't even mention that. She's like the chief elder. She's not there in person.
No, she's a hologram.
She's a hologram.
She says you're not the only community. We've got
there are other communities in the world.
Yeah.
And she's in charge of all of them. So she can't be there for all of them. So she's not there for this one. She is a hologram. So she calls him forward onto the stage. And she says that Jonas has been selected, not assigned. And he's confused by this as much as we are. We have no clue what's going on at this point. But his training will involve pain, which we found out earlier on. Pain doesn't exist in this world.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what pain is. But that's what she says. It's pain like you've never known, because he will be assigned the role of the receiver of memory.
Yeah.
Which is a fucking cool job title. I'd love that job title. It's basically an elder. He's going to become an elder of this community. There's already a receiver of memory. Yeah. Basically, we don't find out at this point, but I'll say it at this point because it doesn't make sense if I don't. The receiver of memory is the only person in the community who remembers the world before this community was established. So
good and bad.
Good and bad. Everything. The one guy who is Jeff Bridges'
history of the world.
The whole history of the world rests on this guy. He's not bound by any of the rules of the community. He is allowed to lie. He's allowed to cause pain. He's allowed to do everything. And Jonas is going to take over from this guy. And that's going to become his role. And they all start chanting his name, which I thought was a bit weird.
Yeah, it got a bit culty quite quickly,
It
didn't it?
Yeah. And then
he's told he's not allowed to... He gets some rules, doesn't he?
He does. I've got the rules. Would you like me to read the rules?
Yes, go for it.
The 5 rules governing the receiver of memory are: number 1, report directly to the receiver of memory for training. After training, return immediately to your dwelling.
Yeah.
Number 2, you are henceforth exempt from all rules governing rudeness. You may ask any question. So these rules that they've always lived his life by is no longer assigned by. Aside from daily injections, you may not receive other medications, especially those for pain. Rule number 4, you may not discuss your training with anyone, ever.
Yep.
And rule number 5, you may lie.
Yeah. Which I presume is associated to rule 4, where he's not allowed to discuss his training.
Yeah, you can't discuss your training, but you can make up some shit about what you're actually doing. But most people are just going to ask you questions. Yeah, he's basically exempt from all the rules of the community now. He can do what he wants.
Hey, he was right. What he told us right at the start, he is special.
Yeah, he is. He has to report to the current receiver of memory's house. He doesn't live in the community.
No.
He lives on the edge of the world.
He's got like a villa on the edge of the cliff.
Yeah, right on the edge. So this base, like we said earlier, it's a plateau on the top of a mountain. and he lives right on the edge. This receiver of memory, and he goes to meet him. He meets Jeff Bridges' character, never given a name. He is credited as the Giver, so that's what we shall call him.
And he's got a cool library, which is actually in the cliff face.
Yeah, his house is full of books,
and there's a huge window that looks over
the edge,
the precipice.
Yeah.
I guess
out to elsewhere, as they call it. It's known as elsewhere. And Jeff Bridges basically says, "I will now transmit all of the memories of the world to you." And because Jonas thinks he's just going to get this guy's life memories, but he's not. He's getting the entire history of everything ever. It's a big responsibility what he's taking on.
Yeah, and like these are just normal humans, yeah?
Yeah.
No. Well, are they?
Yeah, I think so.
Because Jeff Bridges as the giver and Jonas as the receiver can like transmit memories to each other by hand holding.
I think there is something special about it. He had a mark on his arm, didn't he, that denoted him as special in some way. Yeah. But these people can only see black and white, so they've played around with their genetics in some way. Basically, the role of the receiver of memory.
My point being, sorry, before you carry on, is that film is designed at, well, don't question that. Don't question why can these people like mind meld with each other. They just can.
Yeah, it's just a film.
Yeah.
Stop taking it too seriously. That's basically what they're saying.
Don't worry about the details.
No, don't. Yeah,
because
don't sweat the detail.
The whole thing will fall apart.
The receiver of memory's main role in the world is to provide wisdom and guidance to the elders using memories. So basically, the elders themselves don't know anything about the rest of the world. Yeah. So he can advise them based on what we did wrong in the real world.
Correct.
He can advise them not to, so they don't make the same mistakes again, basically. That is his entire role. And then he grabs his arms. The giver, Jeff Bridges, grabs Jonas's arms. And we have some sort of like flashy, crazy memory moment. It's very much a film moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
And he's basically now in some slow. He's in some snow. And he's never seen snow before.
No.
Because it doesn't snow.
It's not just that. He can feel it.
Yeah, it's like he's there. So
It's
almost like he's in VR.
Yeah.
He's there. He doesn't know what the hell it is. He's very confused. And he finds a sledge.
Yeah.
Or a sled, as the Americans call it. And he goes sledding down this sledge. I've said both words at the same time then. He goes sledging down this mountain.
I've put tobogganing. So there you go.
Is that the same thing?
I don't know.
And he stops at a house.
He's
at the
having
bottom.
a great time.
He's having a great time. He's never done anything like this in his life. And there's some Christmas music playing at the bottom of this house. This movie's a Christmas movie.
There's a family inside this log cabin having a
Christmas.
lovely family sing-song around the fire.
Yeah. And then suddenly, Jonas snaps out of it. He's back in the room with Jeff Bridges. And he now knows all of these things. And Jeff Bridges hasn't actually told him anything. Yeah. But he now knows what snow is. He now knows what a sledge is.
And the giver says, "Oh, look, the word's there now.
Yeah,
now you've experienced it. You know the word." And he's like, I rode a
sled.
Yeah. Again, don't question how. Just, that's how it works.
And this is where Jeff Bridges explains to him that everything in snow was dangerous. Everything in the world that was remotely dangerous was removed from this world. That's why you don't know what it is. Jonas says, "Do this again. I need to learn more." He's craving this knowledge now because he's got to 18. He doesn't know anything about the world, only the world that he's lived in. So he wants to go back in. And Jeff Bridges goes, "Let's go for a walk."
Yeah.
So they do. They go for a nice walk. The giver says, Jonas says, "Do you lie?" And the giver's like, "Yeah, I lie all the time. It's my job.
Yeah.
But I will never lie to you. But that could be a lie." So he might lie. Who knows?
And there's been some rumours, hasn't there, about that someone else was in this role.
Yeah.
But didn't make it.
Yeah. 10 years previously.
And Jonas tries to ask the giver about that. But he's keeping
not having any of it. Yeah, he's keeping quiet about that. When he gets home that night, his family have been assigned a baby, but it's not through the assignment ceremony. This baby's a little bit behind.
I don't understand why they didn't get told off for this, because it all seemed like so. Obviously, the community is so strict, but it felt like father had like snuck this baby out because he liked him.
Yeah, I think this baby was special, so they didn't want to send it off to elsewhere, as it is known in this movie. It has the same mark on its arm that Jonas had, and I think that the father probably noticed that. Yeah. The father's Alexander Skarsgard's character. Jonas notices this, Gabriel, the baby's called. He notices this mark on his arm, and he's like, maybe he's going to be the next receiver. Maybe he's who I will pass this detail on to when I'm finished. Then he goes back to lessons. He gets...
We see some colour.
He gets
It's sunrise. He watches a sunrise on a boat.
Yeah,
doesn't he?
Before that, he gets hit by a coloured bee.
Oh, yeah, he does.
He gets stung by a coloured bee in the room. And then he's suddenly on a boat, and he's watching a beautiful sunrise or set on a boat, and he can see all this colour, and it's blowing his mind.
Wind on his hair, on his face.
He's never even been on a boat before. He doesn't know anything about this world. And when he wakes up from that dream, well, it's not even a dream, whatever this is that Jeff Bridges is doing to him, there's more colour in the world now for him.
Yeah.
The film's now not, it's not full colour yet, but there's colour seeping in now.
There's a lot of red.
Yeah.
The giver says, "Oh, what can you see?" And he says, "Oh, I think it's red."
Yeah.
He says, "Oh, yeah, my first colour was yellow."
Yeah, he does. And Jonah says, "Well, why did we get rid of colour? This is amazing. Why would you do this?" And he's like, the elders decided to get rid of all colour, race, religion in a quest for perfection.
Yeah.
For perfection's a hard thing to say. And that's why there's no colour in the world, because you can't be discriminatory against people of colour if there isn't any colour in the world. He then goes and meets Fiona, he doesn't know the concept of love.
No.
Nobody does in this world.
No.
But he knows that he likes being around Fiona, I guess. They're like friends. You can't have love, but you can have friendship.
Correct.
Strange.
Yeah.
So he goes to see her, and he tries to make her see, because he can see a rainbow in this waterfall. And he tries to make her see it, but she can't see it. And he can't really get his head around what's going on here.
No touching.
Yeah, stop touching each other. You're not allowed.
No
You're only allowed to
hands.
touch members of your family unit. We then see the giver, Jeff Bridges, giving feedback to Meryl. to Meryl Streep's character, the elder. And she's like, Giver, why is Jonas breaking rules already? You've only had him for a couple of days. Why is he already breaking rules? And the giver's like, this always happens. Even I broke the rules. You're teaching these people something they've never known. They're obviously going to want to share it. And then Meryl Streep's character says, 10 years ago, we all know what happened with the girl. We all know that you've done this before. The boy must hold in his pain.
Yeah.
And then they kind of leave each other from there. So Meryl Streep's not happy with Jeff Bridges. She thinks
doesn't trust him from the start.
No, she doesn't. And because he's messed it up before.
For the process.
He's messed this process up before. He's tried to give this information to somebody else, and it has gone wrong. They're then looking through some books, and they find a map. And we get a bit more like exposition here, but not a lot. And it's literally just the giver knows it because he's the giver. They find a map, and it's not of the community, it's of the outside of the community. The world, basically, as we know it. So there are other communities dotted around on this map, but there's also a circular border around all the communities, which is called the boundary of memory.
And this is my biggest single problem with this movie, is that Jonas literally goes, "Oh, if I go beyond that boundary, everyone will get their memory back."
Yeah.
And Jeff Bridges, the giver, just goes, "Yeah, probably." And that's the science.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there watching it going, look, I'm quite enjoying this. Because, so far, I've quite enjoyed this movie. Look, it's quite a novelty to have all these stars in. It's slick. It looks good. It's a proper movie. You can tell there's money on this. And it totally took me out of it when it was what I've just described is what happened.
100%. It is.
They just decide that's what will happen.
And it works better if you do those two lines the other way around. If Jeff Bridges says, if you go behind that line, everybody will get their memories back. Because we could believe that Jeff Bridges would know that.
Yes, but if he says, no one knows for sure, but I have
my
a theory that if someone were to go beyond that line, everyone's memories would come. That's much better. But
they do it the wrong way around. Yeah. Jonas says it. And how would Jonas know this?
He just says, "Oh, I wonder if I went past, this is what would happen."
Yeah, and Jeff Bridges is like, "Yeah, it would." Basically, doesn't he? He's like,
with no knowledge whatsoever.
Yeah. If it wasn't the other way around, Jeff Bridges would have said, "If you go beyond that line, this will happen." Yeah. You could believe it better. That's a fair comment. That's a fair criticism. I will give you that. So basically, yeah, it's got this circular border around the world, and if anybody goes past it, everybody will get their memories back.
Yeah.
We don't know the science of why. We just have to believe that that's the case. We also now know where this film's going because it's pretty obvious that that's what's going to happen. And so Jonas is like, okay, what are we seeing today? What am I going to learn today? And the giver says, today you see nothing. today you hear.
Yeah.
And he takes him down into the basement, and there's a piano there. And Jonas has never seen a piano, doesn't know what music is. Music is also not in this world. And the giver plays him some music. He starts playing the piano. And Jonas can't get his head around how this machine is making such beautiful noise. He's really confused by it. We then find out that the injections they take every morning remove emotion.
Yeah.
That's what they're there for. If you didn't take them...
The giver tells him this. Yeah.
Yeah, he tells him it. He's like, this is knowledge that you need. So, fair.
Do with it what you will.
And then he shows him a memory, and it's a memory of a wedding with music and dancing, and everybody's really happy.
Yeah.
The world seems like such a great place to Jonas because this is all he's ever seen. And he says, why would anybody want rid of this? And the giver says, good question. Jonas goes home that night and dances with his younger sister.
He shows his little sister Lily, this is dancing.
This is dancing.
And she's like, what
What are we doing? We just running around the place like an idiot. However, he gets told off then. Meryl Streep holograms into the room.
She does.
She's not happy.
She's like, just wanted a chat,
Yeah,
mate.
just wanted a quick chat with the family. Because his mum is the Minister of Justice.
Is she?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
She's in charge of
She
justice.
seems to have about 8 jobs.
She's in charge of justice in the world. So if anybody does do anything wrong, she's in charge of that.
I did wonder why she was like, I thought she was like military or something.
Yeah,
Later
I think they called her the Director of Justice or the Minister
that.
for Justice
Okay.
or something. So Meryl Streep talks to her first, and she's like, "You need to sort your son out.
He's breaking the rules.
Breaking the rules.
He's been witnessed.
I don't know what the rules are,
No.
but that he is breaking them is basically what
He's
she
been
said.
witnessed like holding hands. Oh, we forgot the bit where they slid down that slide.
Has that happened?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, she's it's
Basically,
not even a slide. I don't even know what it is.
Fiona and Asha and Jonas went up to this like big top of this like building.
Yeah,
I think it might have been the auditorium where they do the ceremony.
Yeah,
But
I
on
think
the
so.
outside, it's got a staircase so you can go and
to the
view
roof,
like
yeah.
a viewing platform.
I have not written this thing down at all.
And so there's a staircase up, staircase down, and in the middle, I think he says they're solar panels.
Yeah, I think so.
But for some reason, and this is obviously because he's just remembering this toboggan and sledging memory he's had, there seems to be some food trays at the top.
Yeah, I presume there's some like food hall or something up there. I don't know.
I don't know. But anyway, they sit on these trays and ride down.
Down.
Don't they?
Yeah. That's what Meryl
which-
Streep turns up for,
yeah.
because that's one of the things that he shouldn't
Yes,
be doing.
that's why I
He
thought
had
I
fun.
should outline it. Yeah.
I have not written that scene down at all in my entire notes. I've just obviously enjoyed that scene and not bothered writing about it. So yeah, Meryl Streep comes and tells him off. Basically, she's concerned that the giver is becoming reckless,
And she asks him, "What do you do in your training?"
and he basically says, "We sit and stare at each other and don't do anything."
Yeah, and then I come home.
And then I come home because he's not allowed to say, but he is allowed to lie,
Yeah.
and that's what he does to her. He lies to her.
But I don't know. Does she know his rules? I presume
No,
not.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
As he leaves, he's like, right, I've got to go now. I've got to meet up with the giver. And as he leaves, he has got an apple in his hand, and the apple takes the injection rather than Jonas because he's managed to put some of his own blood on it, so that it tricks the DNA machine. So he doesn't take his injection that day. And we then get a montage.
It's a training montage.
I've written
isn't it?
learning montage.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a training montage. Basically, time is passing here. He's learning. We find out afterwards that it's been a couple of months of him learning and getting
Animals,
to know the world.
parties. Because there's no animals in this world either.
No, none at all. We
He's
didn't
never
need them.
seen a badger before.
No, I've never seen a badger.
I saw one today.
Alive?
No,
I've seen a dead one. I've never seen an alive badger.
you don't want to see an alive badger.
I don't.
Nasty
Dangerous.
creatures.
Honey badgers are worse,
Yeah.
apparently.
But you don't mind that nickname.
No, I like it. Jonas is like, life back then seemed more complete. That was his line at this point.
Sure, because you can stroke a doggo
Yes.
or have a party.
Yeah. He then gets shown some pain and some suffering.
Yeah, I guess some not so nice
Yeah.
human memories.
So when he
It's just a weird one that they chose to start off. I'm not going against the value of it,
yeah,
but it was an odd
what was it?
first bad memory. So he was transported into the body of like a poacher
Oh yeah, he was, and they were
to poach an elephant.
shooting elephants, weren't they?
Not like shoot it, not like in the pan. Like it's not like an egg. Take ages.
Poached elephant would be horrible as well. It's so tough. Jonas isn't happy to learn this. He doesn't want to know this information. The giver actually apologised for him. He's like, I thought you were ready and you aren't.
Yeah.
I thought you were
He
ready.
runs
for
home.
this. He does. He runs home.
Why would people do that?
And he goes and meets Gabe. He meets him. This is the baby. He goes and talks to Gabe because he can really confide with Gabe.
Yeah.
And Gabe's got a teddy bear of an elephant.
Yeah, but everyone
Which-
calls it a
A
hippo.
hippo. Because obviously nobody knows what it is. They've just assumed it was a hippo, I guess. And Jonas says to Gabe, who's just a baby and can't comprehend what he's saying, so he can say whatever he wants, that your toy isn't a hippo, it's an elephant. And elephants were real. Elephants were a thing. This thing was... Because I think they'd say it's a hippo and it was a special because it got 5 legs because of the trunk. And he's like, no, these things were real. This is like crazy. But Lily's awake.
Yeah.
And Lily overhears him talking about the elephant.
And at the same time, Jonas like touches Gabe and he manages to transfer a memory to him.
Yeah, he gives the baby a memory.
Of the elephant.
Yeah. So now the baby knows what an elephant is.
Yeah.
That's definitely against the rules.
Yeah.
That night he goes to bed and he has a dream. However, he has no idea that that's what this was.
Yes.
He dreams of Fiona. And he goes to see the giver and he's like, it was like she was there. It was really crazy. And the giver explains to him what a dream is. And he says to him, this is happening because you've stopped taking the injections. I know you have. And he's like, I have. Yeah, why would I not? And at this point, I noticed that the film's now fully in colour. I've no idea how long it's been fully in colour, but this is the point where I noticed that now we've lost the black and white tinge completely. We're now watching a full colour film. Because he now knows what love is. And he gets taught the meaning of love now.
Yeah, he doesn't know the word, but the giver explains love.
Yeah. And he actually says to him, now you know what love is, nothing will ever be the same again for you. Because love changes everything.
All right, Michael Ball.
But if he's going to pick up on that.
So, Jonas kind of tests this at home, doesn't he?
Yeah, he goes
home and he tells father that he loves him.
Yeah, and he says
He gets told off.
Well, he asks his dad if he loves him.
Yeah.
He's like, do you love me? And he gets told off because it's not, what do they call it?
It's not precise
language. It's not a real word.
And his father says, do I take pride in your accomplishments? Yes.
Yes. I enjoy you and I take pride in you.
Yeah.
And Lily says, what does that word mean? Because she's like 9.
Yeah.
And the mother says, the word is antiquated and has no meaning.
Yeah.
And then that night he tells Gabe that he loves him.
Yeah, and he shares some more memories
and he passes
with
on
the
some
baby.
more knowledge to the baby, yeah. He's giving and receiving. The next day when he goes to the giver's house, this film is basically him learning from the giver. Yeah. This is why he's going back there every day. The giver's lying on the floor. He's having some sort of crazy seizure. An episode. Jonas, Gabe's the baby. Jonas runs over to him, grabs his arm.
Touches the giver.
You know what happens when you touch the giver?
You get given.
You get given stuff. And it's a war.
They're in Nam.
They're in Nam, basically. And the giver's turned into a friend.
Yeah.
And everybody around him gets mowed down. Jonas is there. We've seen Jonas in a war film before. He's good at him. Everybody around him gets shot, murdered, killed. He doesn't know what this is. He's never seen anybody die before. And they both wake up on the floor together.
Yeah.
And
the giver's like, you weren't supposed to see it. Why did you touch me?
Well, yeah, this is too early for you to see this. You weren't
but
supposed to receive this.
This is the only time we see that the giver can have an episode, I guess.
Yeah.
And
I think this was intentional.
I think he set it up.
I think he was pushing things too far because he apologizes for pushing things too far just after this.
But I mean, it's the only time we see him seemingly incontrollable, having an episode.
Yeah, but I don't think he was having an episode.
Yeah.
I think he was just
acting
because this is the exact memory that he gave to the girl 10 years previous that made her leave. We find out at this point now that when he passed on this memory to her, she couldn't handle it. She didn't want to handle it, and so she left.
She quit.
She went off, and she even left the community. She went to elsewhere. But he says, and Jonas wants to do the same. Jonas is like, I can't do this. I need to leave.
And he does leave.
And he does leave. But the giver shouts after him, you need to know this so you can advise on it.
Yeah.
You need to know pain and suffering so you can advise and stop it happening in the future. And Jonas is done. He's like, no, I'm done. I'm out of here. He quits. And he goes to speak to Fiona. And he tells Fiona that he's quitting. He's like, I can't do this. You don't understand what I'm going through. It's terrible. And he says, you need to know. You need to so to do that, you need to stop having your injections.
Yeah,
in
stop
the morning.
taking meds.
Stop taking your meds. He tells her how to do it with the apple trick. Get some blood on an apple. And she's panicking. She's like, if you quit, you will get sent off to elsewhere. You'll leave the community. I'll never see you again. She's panicking.
So she is panicking, and she kind of says,
I'll make a deal with you, basically.
yeah, I'll do it. I'll stop taking my meds, but
only if you don't quit.
You've got to go back to work. Yeah.
So he's like, fine, that's fine. Because he knows that as soon as she stops taking the meds, she's going to be with him anyway. The Giver then, he goes back to the Giver's house the next day. And he sees like a ghostly memory of the Giver and Rosemary together. Rosemary's this girl.
Recording, I guess.
This is the only time we really see Taylor Swift in this movie. It's a holographic recording of the time that he taught her music. And she's playing it back to him.
Yeah.
And they're having a good time. And he says, I ruined this because I gave her memory of loss too soon. So she left. She left me. She went to see the elders. She got asked to be released and she was sent to elsewhere. But he says, you need to learn about loss and you need to learn about what we do in this community. And he shows him his dad on a screen.
Yes.
But
this is almost now like it's CCTV.
Yeah.
Like live of him at work.
Yeah. So he's showing him he basically showing him what his dad does for a living.
Yeah.
And basically what his dad does is murders babies.
Yes.
That's his job.
So he weighs a pair of twins.
Yeah.
And kills
the lighter
one.
Yeah, the one that isn't ready. And Jonas is like, how can he do this? What? I don't understand how he can do this. And he's like, he doesn't know what he's doing. He has no concept of what he's doing.
He doesn't know
it's just
death
his job. He doesn't know what death is.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what love is. He doesn't know what anything is, really. So his job is to kill these babies. He just injects them in the skull.
Yeah.
Put them in a box and puts them in a garbage chute. And that's his job. And it's not his fault. He just doesn't know that it's not the right thing to be doing.
And is one of the problems with this movie that it tries to be too many things? Because this is quite a affecting scene.
Yeah, it really is.
And it's massively out of place with the sort of safeness of the rest of this movie, I guess.
Yeah. I think this is where it turns, though, isn't it? This is where Jonas
it does, but
realizes that he can't let this carry on.
But it doesn't really linger on it, does it?
No.
But there's some really big themes here that because the rating this movie has, I don't think it can fully explore.
Yeah, I think that's a fair comment. But I think at the same time, they needed to be a catalyst.
No, I totally agree.
You know he's going to leave the community at some point, and he does, and this is where we're heading. But there needs to be a catalyst to make him do that.
What I'm saying is, I think you could have more of this sort of thing, but it's then not a 12 movie. And no one's going to watch. Not that anyone watched it anyway. But
yeah, there is that. He leaves the community because his dad murders babies. That's his catalyst.
Yeah.
And the Giver says to him, they don't understand. They don't get it because they don't know what you know.
They don't know what killing is. He doesn't know what he's
understand.
doing.
The only people that know what's going on now are me and you, because we understand that this isn't the right thing to do. We then meet up with Fiona again. Fiona hasn't taken the injection and she now has started feeling stuff.
He says, I don't feel right.
Yeah.
I've got a problem there as well. It sounds like I'm getting really picky, but he then just kisses her, and I'm like, that feels wrong.
But he loves her. And
I know that, but she doesn't know what a kiss is.
No, she doesn't.
And this movie is just like, all right, you can just snog this girl who's like literally in a panic state because she's like starting to...
But he knows if he does, I suppose it's a way for him to say, look, this is a...
I just don't think he should jump straight down her throat. I just don't think that should be the first thing he does.
Okay.
That's
I think that's probably fair. He does kiss her. And it makes her realise, I guess it makes her realise what love is.
Also, this is a real nitpick, but I'm on a roll now. Their secret meeting place is in this fountain, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there's this triangle. So it's a hedge.
It's a triangular hedge.
But it's got like a waterfall. So there's this tiny little space, and you have to go through the waterfall.
Yeah. So they're always wet.
Why aren't people wondering why these three kids are always wet?
That's a good point. It isn't a hidden meeting place either. There's a camera above footage. It. You can see it. It's just where they hang out. It's just what they do. I guess it's just what they've always done. It's just where they've always hung out. So yeah, after this, he goes home.
Yeah.
The family are all there, although there is one notable exception. Gabe is missing. Gabe is not with the family community anymore. And basically, the father the mother and father characters are never given any names either. The father explains to Jonas, Gabe isn't ready. He's basically failed
whatever test
the test we were doing. So he's been released to elsewhere, which is fine. That's what happens in this community. That's everybody's happy with that. Jonas now knows what that means.
Yes.
He's not happy.
He's going to be euthanized.
Yeah, it's basically going to kill the baby. Jonas does a little bit of a voiceover again. He says they haven't eliminated murder. They just call it something else.
Yeah.
And then he runs away. He's like, that night, he's like, I'm out of here. I'm done. I'm leaving this place. He leaves his house in the night, which nobody does. They have a set bedtime.
And just because it's convenient for the plot, Ash is out there waiting for him.
Yeah, I didn't get this. Why was he out there? Was he just coming home from work?
Exact
or what?
time.
Yeah. He literally runs straight into his mate.
It's literally just
It's plot armor. It's complete plot armor.
Piss me off.
You're not in a good mood tonight.
I'm not, but I just thought it was annoying. You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
You can see
There could have been a reason why he was out there.
Yeah. Just go to a little bit of effort.
Asher tries to stop him. Obviously, this is his friend. He doesn't want him to be outside at night. They're not allowed to be outside at night. But Jonas punches him in the face and knocks him out.
Yeah, and that's like a big thing.
Yeah, nobody's ever done this before.
No one knows you can even
Nobody
do that.
even knows you can do it. There's no pain. There's no violence in this world. And he goes to the giver's house in the night. And he says, I must go to the boundary of memory.
Says, I'm going to do it.
I'm going to do it. I must go. And the giver's been waiting for this.
Yeah.
The giver always knew this was going to happen. This is what he wants to happen. Yeah. He wants to free this community from this weird world that they live in. And the giver, he agrees with me. He's like, yeah, he says, must go.
I will stay here and I will advise people when you pass the boundary.
I always should have gone. I should have gone. And I never did.
Yeah.
And you're right, you do need to go because we need to end this. And he says, you stay, you go, I'll stay here. And then when everybody gets their memories back, I can advise. I know this world. I know, I can help people with this. When the confusion kicks in, because everybody's going to be really confused about what the fuck's going on. Meryl Streep then shows up in the giver's house, which is also a no-no. She's not allowed in there.
Yeah.
But she is only transmitting. She cannot see what she's happening in this house.
She can hear.
She can talk to the giver. It's like she's on the phone, but he can see her. And the giver lies to her. He says, I don't know where Jonas is. I've not seen him all day. I have no idea.
Because basically what's happened, Asher has dobbed him in.
Yeah, Asher's gone
mother,
back to mother and gone. And mother's gone to
raise the alarm.
Yeah. The giver even says Jonas isn't ready yet. There's no way. It's just not right. So he's lying through his teeth at Meryl Streep. But Jonas is going, and he's taking Gabe with him.
He says, I'm going to get Gabe.
I'm going to get the baby.
We're going together.
And so the giver gives him loads of helpful memories.
Yeah, like courage memories.
Courage memories, quest memories.
Inspiring
Yeah,
memories.
people canoeing, people sledging, people walking through snow. All the things he's going to need to help him. And then an alert goes out over the community tannoy system that Jonas is missing and may be in danger.
Yeah.
So they're not saying Jonas is escaping, catch
Hunt him down, yeah.
You need to catch him because he might be in danger.
Yeah.
So he goes to get Gabe. Obviously, we know he works at the hospital where the babies are. Fiona works there. She says, I've heard this thing. I assume you've come for the baby. He has come for the baby. She basically gives him the baby.
Yeah, she takes him down to the floor where the uncertains are.
Yeah, the uncertains is a great word.
And then there's some kind of like, I want to say hit squad, but that's giving them a good name.
I think that's probably a good name.
Police.
The chief elder says to Asher, to the police. They've not even got a police. I don't know who these people are.
No.
Take him out, basically. We need to get him. So he takes Gabe. Fiona causes a distraction.
He says to Fiona, come with us.
Yeah.
Want you to come with us.
She's like, I can't stay here for these babies. This is dangerous. But I'll cause a distraction. She basically takes
and he says, I'll come back for you.
Yeah. He basically she takes an empty baby carriage, runs away with it. So all the police is what I'm going to call them. Follow her and don't follow Jonas, even though it's Jonas they're after. So she causes a diversion and he does get away. He gets away with Gabe and he rides a bike.
But this time it's like an electric bike.
Yeah, he somehow managed to get... Well, it was because it's what they deliver the babies with.
Oh, okay.
It got a baby cot thing on the back, so it's something to do with I guess like an ambulance, I don't know. But he's got this electric bike and he rides it up to the giver's house, but he rides it past the giver's house and he rides it off the edge of this mountain.
Yeah. He absolutely nails the landing.
It
no
does.
drama.
And what this film did really well here, there's a really nice directorial point, is as soon as he lands there in the elsewhere, as we're calling it, the whole film goes back into black and white.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's really cool. I did
It's nice.
Unless Jonas is on the screen.
Yeah.
So it's in colour if Jonas is on the screen. It's in black and white if anybody else is on the screen. Because he's left that community now. It's gone to black and white again. The chief elder then breaks into the giver's house, which again is not allowed. She's not allowed in there. Because this is where all the knowledge is.
But she's busted his plan. You wanted this all along. This was going to be your plan with Rosemary.
He says, I apologise for failing you. And she says, you didn't fail, you've succeeded.
Yeah.
You knew exactly what was going to happen. So they lock him up. They handcuff him, take him away. And then she organises a ceremony of loss for Jonas.
Sure.
Because they just assume that he has killed himself riding...
He's lost to the
community. He can't but he's never getting back in this community now. And he's ridden his bike off this edge of this mountain. So they're assuming he's dead, I assume. So they have a ceremony of loss, and it's basically the same thing that we saw earlier. They're all chanting his name.
And as we are witnessing the ceremony, it cuts back between that and Jonas just riding this bike across the
world as we know it. There's mountains, there's deserts, there's all sorts. He's in the world that we know now. The chief elder tells Asher to find him and lose him.
Yeah,
which we all know what that means. But the concept of find him and then lose him again is quite funny. And he does instantly with his drone because Asher is allowed to fly around in the elsewhere on his drone, but only to a certain point. And he finds him straight away. And this is the bit I didn't really like. So Jonas tries to,
because Asher turns faster than the Big Show. That's a
very 90s niche wrestling reference. Yeah, Asher has no concept of what Jonas has been doing.
But he gets from like good to bad about 4 times in this.
He does, and he's never exposed like Fiona has been.
Yeah.
So he feels for Jonas and he helps Jonas at this point, and he wouldn't do that because he doesn't know what that is.
Yeah,
and that's what I didn't like about this bit. This bit of the film I didn't like.
For all we know, he's never missed a
injection,
medication.
He's never talked to even Jonas about what Jonas has
never
been doing.
done the hand-holdy thing with him.
No.
So how is his sort of feeling broken?
Yeah, he should have no concept
shouldn't be
of
possible.
this. Yeah. Love doesn't exist, so he should have no reason to help Jonas because he doesn't love him. He can't do.
Yeah.
But he does. He picks Jonas up with his drone
and the
baby, and he drops them in a river, which is basically what he's been told to do: find him and lose him.
Yeah, but he
knows what he's doing. He's hoping that Jonas has survived this fall.
We'll never hear of him again.
Yeah, but secretly he's hoping, but he shouldn't do because he shouldn't have hope. Yeah. That Jonas survives, and Jonas does survive. Obviously, they both do. Gabe and Jonas are both.
Oh well, when they surface, this baby's in a full-on like dinghy, like a buoyancy aid.
Yeah,
we'll come back to that point later.
But Asher reports him lost. He goes back to the chief elder and says, "I've done it." She says, "Have you found him?" He says, "I found him." She's like, "Lose him." He's like, "It's already done. I've lost him." Then we get like a trekking montage. He's walking through snow. He's gone from desert to snow very quickly.
Also,
then whilst he's doing it, he's giving memories to Gabe all the way. He's teaching Gabe as
he's trekking through the snow.
Yeah,
he's also got full on like snow gear, and so is the baby.
Stop taking this film too seriously. No,
I'm sorry, I can't help but notice. I was like, you left in a t-shirt and
he didn't. There was no concept of clothing in this community. They all had assigned clothing. Fiona finds out that she's about to be. Fiona's also been captured and she's in prison at the minute.
Yeah, she's next to the giver.
She is. Yeah, she finds out that she's about to be released to elsewhere because she's been found guilty of helping him.
Because she says, and she's. I don't think they were going to release her until she sort of stood up and said, "I felt things. I felt warm. I felt nice."
She says, "I felt." Literally, what she says, "I felt things." Obviously, released to elsewhere means murder in this world. That's if I've not been clear, that's what they're doing. Jonas is still trekking. Fiona and the giver get taken away to the ceremony of release of elsewhere, and it's basically her execution.
It is.
It's an execution chamber. Yeah. It's exactly like a lethal injection room. Yeah. There's a chair with the dad is in there because that's part of his job as well. Apparently, he's basically the executioner of this world, and all the elders are sitting on the other side of the glass watching this. And the giver gets brought in because he's an elder, so he gets brought in, and he's now trying to appeal to Meryl Streep's better nature because he's like, you know pain and suffering.
Yeah.
Somehow she knows of it.
We were told he was the only person, but for this conversation to happen, he's like, well, you know what love is.
You know, he says you know what the possibility of love is. He doesn't say what you know what love is. But she does know of pain and suffering. Because I guess she was the one who created all of this. So she's been there.
No, I get that. But then don't tell me earlier that he was the only one who knows it.
And he says the possibility of love trumps all of that, all of pain and suffering.
Yeah.
Just the possibility of it happening trumps it all. And she says when people have the freedom to choose, they choose wrong every time.
Exactly.
So this is why she doesn't want people to have the freedom to choose. Then we come back to Jonas, who has passed out in the snow, lying on top of the baby. I don't know what happened to him, but he's kind of lying in the snow. But he gets woken up because he can hear singing and laughing and people.
Also, can I just point out he passed out at the top of a mountain and he wakes up near the bottom of a mountain surrounded by a load of trees.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Fine.
Shut up. And he finds a sledge, and it's very much gone a full circle of his first memory.
So was the first one not a memory, but a premonition?
No, I think it was a concept of
But it's exactly the same. It's the same house.
Yeah, it's the same house. The giver was teaching him about that house, I think. Because he says that, doesn't he, later on? I think he says, the giver showed me this house and this place.
Yeah.
So this is where he had to go to.
Yeah, so it's not a memory. Whose memory is it?
The giver's memory.
But he's never been there.
I think he had.
So the giver has already been.
Or he's been given that.
Get to the edge.
Or he's been given that memory before.
Okay.
Because the giver's memories
so
have been given.
So you think other people have tried to get out before?
No, I think other people have before this community was created. The memories of this world are there, and this house is one of those memories.
Okay.
That's how I understood it.
Okay, fine.
I might be wrong.
Who gives the giver the memories?
The original giver.
Okay.
When the community.
How did the first one get all the memories?
I guess when the community was set up, somebody said, "We're going to wipe everybody's memories except for yours."
Yeah.
Because you need to.
How did he get the other people's memories? Like all the memories of the world.
That's what he was given, the memories of the world at that point. You can't bring logic to a film like this, Nick. Come on. And the giver. This is my favourite line of the room. The film. The giver says to Meryl Streep, "We are living a life of shadows and echoes." I thought that's really cool. I like that line. Jonas then gets back on his sledge, rides past a tower. He can't find a tower. It takes him ages to find this tower. He eventually finds this tower. And there's kind of like a sci-fi wave in the sky, force field type thing. He rides through it, and suddenly, in a flash of light, the whole world turns to colour, including the community. And everybody has an epiphany at the same time. Everybody has all these memories flood into their brains at once, including Alexander Skarsgård's character, the father, who is just about to inject Fiona.
Sure.
And doesn't because of this.
He kind of collapses when he realises. I mean, it's not going to end well for him, is it?
No.
Once he clicks what he's been doing for the last however many years of his life.
Yeah. Jonas then has the last line of the film. We get to the end of the film now. He sleds up. The sled stops at the, I've written Christmas house, but there's nobody there. It's an empty house. Although he could hear singing and laughing, it's empty. And his last line was, "I do not apologise." Because the question at the beginning of the film was, it's up to you to decide whether I should apologise or not. And his last line is, "I do not apologise." Because he's happy with what he's done. And we see the community turn into colour, and everybody's like, what the fuck's going on here? It's really weird. And the film ends.
Yeah.
Done. Go on.
I mean, for the second week, my first thing I'd like to say is for the second week in a row, I kind of felt like it had ended a bit early.
I could have done another 20 minutes of this film.
To tell me about?
Yeah, a little bit. I could have done more of this film, definitely.
I would have liked to have seen what had happened when he walked into that house.
Yeah, I think that's just where he was going to live now.
There was already people there.
No, there wasn't. He was imagining them because it was the memory of the people there before.
Okay.
He had this memory of the first memory he ever got given was people in this house, and that's what dragged him to that house. But they're not there now. Okay. Their house was. They clearly showed you the house was empty. Yeah, I could have done with more of it. I'm not going to lie. I feel like you're going to be super critical of this.
I'm not going to be super critical.
I get it. I understand it. Also, I thought it was really good.
I enjoyed this movie whilst I was watching it.
Yeah.
The problem is, I don't think it stands up to this sort of conversation.
No, but that's fair.
There's loads of plot holes because stuff just happens just because.
There is a lot of just cause.
Yeah. This is going to sound really harsh because I did quite, like I say, whilst it was on, I quite enjoyed this. Look, I enjoyed watching Jeff Bridges because it's Jeff Bridges.
Yeah.
And he does a weird sort of mumbly, mouthful of marbles.
Yeah, I don't know what his
accent in
face
this.
was all about in it either.
But it was fine. I quite liked it. There was something a bit left behind about this movie.
Do you think?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Do you want to explain what you mean by that?
Well, I don't. There were some good themes in this movie, but I felt they were pushed aside for quite a bit of, quite frankly, religious mumbo jumbo.
Yeah, okay. I think that's fair. There is obviously, a film of this sort of style is always going to have a religious connotation to it. I don't think it was. I think the message it was trying to tell, it told. But what necessarily that message was, I'm not quite sure.
It was just a bit heavy-handed, wasn't it? It touched on the themes of like humans can be good and bad, and it skirted around why it's important to learn from our history and bad things as well as good things.
Yeah,
and,
can humans be humans without the good and the bad?
But I just don't think you can. Maybe there is a way to do it, but this movie didn't find a way to pitch that at its audience. Because obviously it is trying to make a movie that is commercial as possible.
Yeah. This movie was never designed to be scrutinised like we're scrutinising it
I
now.
can see why this movie did not hit.
Yeah, okay.
But did I enjoy? Yeah, I did.
I really did.
I quite enjoyed it.
I thought it worked. I thought it did what it wanted to do really
think
well. I enjoyed it.
Once I was sort of saying, okay, yeah, I see what this is about. I understand the themes. I find it difficult to balance some of that sort of heaviness of it, if you like, with the fact that you're also expected to leave your brain at the door.
Yeah.
For the narrative.
That's what they were trying to do. They were trying to find that balance of, we're trying to tell some big themes here, but also this is a brainless movie.
Don't worry about the detail.
Don't sweat the detail, because you just believe that this has happened.
Yeah.
Just believe this science works. Just believe that these people can't see colour. Yeah. And go with it. And I think if you do that, it's a really enjoyable movie. But it was never designed to be talked about for an hour, over an hour. Jesus, like we are doing. I think if you'd have watched this out of the premise of this show, you probably would have enjoyed it a lot more.
I think it's really interesting. It's a really intriguing. I think I can see why, a lot of people were attracted to this movie.
Yeah.
I think it's a real. I think it just starts to snowball, doesn't it? If Jeff Bridges is on board, he wants to make this. This is his passion project. He knows a lot of people. You can see how this snowballs into then having Meryl Streep and Taylor Swift and
Philip Noyce and all these people.
Katie Holmes and
Alexander Skarsgard and all those sort of people. I thought everybody's performance was great in it. I thought Jeff Bridges was a standout. I thought he was really good.
I didn't think you'd enjoy it that much.
I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of time with it.
But
I could have done with more of it.
I feel like you enjoyed it a lot more than me.
I did. I think it's the best one we've seen in a long time.
Really?
Yeah, genuinely. Wow. I had a lot of fun with it. I was disappointed when it ended, and I don't say that very often with these films.
I think part of it for me as well, I felt like it was a bit sort of tease. I was like, I don't feel like this movie's finished.
Yeah.
Or you've not told me all the story.
I could have done with, you're right, there is more story to tell. It makes you wonder if there was a sequel ever planned.
There's 4 books.
There's 4 books. Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
In the series. So I do know that.
So I imagine a sequel was planned at some point.
Well, I think if it does well,
it gets a sequel. It didn't do well, so it didn't get one.
I
think what they've done there is built up a really good starting point of a franchise.
I just think there was a lot of
there was there. Don't
like
get me wrong, there are a lot of plot holes.
Maybe it was on the day you obviously like I say, you managed to leave your brain at the door a bit more.
Yeah, I did. I think.
I just think to do that, to be asked as an audience to both leave your brain at the door, but also consider all these moral and ethical quandaries, is a weird combination.
Yeah, and that's probably why it didn't work. That is probably the reason why this didn't go where it should have done. What's the best thing about it? I think it's the directing.
I
think
like
it's a really well made film. The use of colour and black and white was really clever.
That is good. I mean, I'm going to go
obviously.
I'm going to go a bit left field.
Go on.
Something we probably don't always praise, and I'm going to go with the sort of set design.
Yeah.
And the locations.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful film.
I thought, like the Giver's library.
Yeah.
Was awesome.
It really was,
that set.
and a complete contrast to everything else in the community. It was all sterile, and yeah, it was a complete contrast to that, and it worked really well. And the whole world just looked beautiful, and I think that has to go on the director and the way he made that film look pretty.
He knows what he's doing.
And of course,
this guy.
And the use of black and white and colour, I thought was really clever. It's been done before. He's
doing something like Pleasantville.
Yeah, it's not a new thing, but it worked really well in this. I thought anyway. What would you change about it? I think this is a 2.5 hour epic that's been cut down to 1 3/4. I think there's more to tell here.
The ending was wrong. It was too abrupt.
It did end too quickly.
It didn't feel like an ending.
Yeah, I think this should have been a longer movie, and it suffers from that. I think it was probably planned to be a longer movie.
Some of the most
studio exec somewhere's gone. That can only be 100 minutes at the most.
Some of the most interesting drama in this movie should have been the people at the community. What happens now? I can see things, and
the sequel. The sequel's the best thing about this movie. The sequel that never happened. I guess I don't know, but
I tell you what. One of the worst things about this movie is, it is.
We're talking positives now.
All right. Well, what would I change?
Yeah.
I think I'm downgrading some of the cast.
Okay, who are you downgrading?
Well, this isn't a criticism of him, and you've explained quite clearly why Skarsgard is in this film.
Yeah,
but this role is so far beneath him.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely wasted.
Yeah, he said himself he only took it to meet Meryl Streep, to work with Meryl Streep, and never got to. But yeah, he is completely wasted in this.
But in this sort of movie, with this sort of cast, someone like Alexander Skarsgård doesn't get a lead role.
No.
He gets a lead role in the sort of movies we watch.
Yeah, Hold the Dark and things like that. One thing I will say is there's a lot of big names in this, as we've said. Jeff Bridges, Meryl Streep. Brenton Thwaites held his own in this movie.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
And what I really liked about it is none of these big names tried to steal it.
Yeah.
Everybody was at the level and knew what they were doing. I think we've also got an answer to our real talk of who's the prettiest boy now, because it is 100% Brenton Thwaites in this movie. But I think he was. I think he really held his own amongst these massive names, working alongside Jeff Bridges like that, arguing with Meryl Streep like he was doing. He was 24 at the time. I thought he was great in this.
I think he was good,
and I really appreciate.
He was a good lead.
I really appreciate these big name stars not trying to steal it, and I thought that I really liked that about it. Jeff Bridges didn't try to steal this.
I liked it, but I think it was flawed, and I think, like I say, whether it was because just on the day or my mood, I just couldn't quite see past a couple of them flaws.
That's fair.
That's fair. It didn't ruin it, but it did. A couple of times they took me out of it. That would be fair. That's what I would say.
That's fair.
But I was engaged, and I always wanted to see where this was going. I thought this I'm really interested in this.
It's a really interesting story and a really interesting
and the
world.
Concept. It's just
some of the execution.
I feel like it was held back a bit by the fact it was going for we've got to be as commercial as possible, which I understand.
There's some studio execs cut this down to 100 minutes.
Yeah.
This should have been a longer movie, definitely, 100%. Stream table,
sure.
Easy.
Yeah,
it's better than the
second
Clans.
Best film we've seen this season.
It's 100 times better than the Clans.
It's not as good as the Clans.
Shut up.
I preferred the Clans to this.
You're wrong.
I like the Clans. I like this.
This is a better movie. 100%. This is a better.
Clans
movie.
is a better movie.
Shut up. You're just being an
No,
idiot.
I'm not.
I'm not having it. I'm not having it. The way we talked about how bad Johnny Galecki was last week in that movie.
Yeah, he was bad.
There was a lot more wrong with that movie than there is this movie. This is a much, much better movie.
My personal preference would be for that. Just, I think the idea is more interesting, and it was more wacky and out there. I didn't like Galecki in that movie, but I think I preferred that movie.
I'm flabbergasted that you're saying that. That is flabbered my gast. I didn't think you'd like this as much as I liked it.
Yeah.
I didn't think it would have sent you insane.
It didn't send me insane.
It did, because there's no way this is
a
not
fine movie.
This is a better movie than The Cleanse. It is 100%. I'm sorry, it just is. It
To
just
go with
is.
your old question, if you make me have to watch one again, I'm watching The Cleanse again.
No way. You're not.
Well, this is a pickle.
How are we stuck in a stream table on the second movie? I'm not allowing it to go below it. I'm sorry. I'm putting my foot down.
I think they're for me they're very close.
Okay.
There's not much in it. I have them both as fairly just fine films.
Okay.
That whilst I was watching, I enjoyed them both.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed them both.
They both have problems.
I enjoyed them both. They have both got problems. This is 100 times better as a movie. As a movie, this looks better. It is acted better. There's everything about it is better. It just is.
No, their little monsters were really cool though last week.
Yeah, they were. That doesn't make that a better movie than this.
I've got to say for both of them as well, just before we do make a decision, that
we've made a decision.
That the themes in both, they're dealing with some pretty big issues here.
Yeah, absolutely. We've started strong in
negativity and loss, and then
pain and suffering, and
the ethics.
The theme of this movie is: can a human
and...
be a human without the good and the bad?
Yeah,
that's what this movie's about, and it's also what last week's movie was about, because that was about removing negativity from your life.
Yeah,
they're actually very similar themes to each other. It's just this one does it better. It's a fact. It's going to number one.
I will say that given the embryonic nature of the stream table, I'm happy to let you have this one.
This isn't.
I will put a little favour in my pocket for later on in the season.
This isn't going to be the last time we argue about The Giver, is it?
I thought it was fine. I don't see.
I don't think we've
why
seen a better
you
movie
liked
than
it
this.
so much.
I don't think we've seen a better movie than this for a long time.
Okay, right. No, that's bullshit.
We can't keep talking.
Right?
This episode is going to be so long.
Wheelman.
I've got to edit this at some point.
Wheelman won last season's stream table.
It did.
About 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
This isn't a better movie than that.
I'd have that argument with you.
No. Now you're insane.
Let's move on. This will not be the last time we talk about The Giver this season, because we're going to have this argument many times, I imagine.
I'd rather see
I'd
rather see the sequel to this movie than this movie again.
Yes, I'd agree. That statement's fair. That statement's fair.
I don't feel like we're a million miles apart. I
think if it had been later in the season, we would have been a long way apart. But at the minute,
I think they could have done. I think that this could have been done a lot better.
I think to say I would rather see the sequel than this film again, I'd agree with. I'd agree with that. That should be.
I felt that they left a lot on the table here.
Yeah, that'd be the last word on it, please, because somebody's got to edit this fucking episode. And I've also only got 1% on my phone, so we need to pick next week's film. What do you want from next week? Something a little less heavy.
I like your. Let's have a horror. It's not.
Yeah, we've not had a horror for ages.
Yeah,
we do need a good horror film.
Yeah.
Season 7 stream table lacked horror.
Yeah,
let's get one, shall we?
Yes, please.
Robin, we'd like a horror film, please. It has picked a movie called Old People.
Okay.
Any ideas?
No, none whatsoever.
I do, because I added this film to the long list, I think the day before yesterday.
Oh, really?
It's literally the newest addition to the list. It actually only came out last month.
Right.
I think it's brand new. It is a Netflix original. It's German.
Okay.
It came out on October the 7th.
Oh, wow. Hot off the press.
It's probably be the newest movie we've ever done. I don't know, can you even say something's at the bottom of the stream after a month? But yeah, because it's not in the charts. Nobody's watching this movie. It's a German horror movie.
Cool.
So Robin has given us what we asked for. Would you like the synopsis?
Yes, please.
I think you're going to like this. A woman travels home with her 2 kids to her sister's wedding, but finds herself defending her family against blood-seeking pensioners.
I'm in. I'm so in. So in.
Yeah, it's a German movie about blood-seeking pensioners who are going after families.
Yeah, give it to me.
Is there more? Is there ever been a more bottom of the stream synopsis than that? I don't think there has. Yeah?
100%.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Cool. So go out and watch Old People. And in the meantime, check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Letterboxd at BOTS_podcast. We are still on Twitter for the time being. If you want to drop us an email, our email address is bottomofthestream@gmail.com, and our website is bottomofthestream.com. On the website, you'll find every episode we've ever made, every stream table we've ever made, except for season 7. That's not on there yet. We need to get on that. And if you want to buy some merch, you can even get a Bottom of the Stream
Whisk.
Yep. Let's have a Bottom of the Stream whisk. That'd be cool. After you've done all that, head over to Patreon, patreon.com/bottom of the stream. On there, for a couple of quid every month, you will get early access to episodes. You will get bonus episodes. You will get a newsletter that Nick writes every month. And if you come in at the top level, you will get a wild card, which means you can give Robin the week off and you can pick the film that we watch the following week. And then when you've done that, head over to Discord. The Discord link is a great community of people who will talk to you all day if you ask them to. They will talk about films. They will talk about everything. We're in there all the time. We play games. We've got a watch along coming up. I think it might be this week.
Yeah.
We do watch alongs. We do all sorts of quizzes. Everything's going on in there. And I was going to say something else and it's gone out of my head about Discord. The Discord link will be in the bottom of the show notes.
If you can spare a few minutes, please consider leaving us a review or a rating anywhere you can review or rate podcasts. Look, it really helps get our little show in front of the eyes and in the ears of more people. We're on Podbean, Podchaser, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, every podcast app and website that you've heard of. Most of the ones you haven't. If you find us on any that we haven't mentioned, just let us know, so we can add that to the list as well.
If you don't find us on one,
also let us know,
and we'll add it to. We'll get on there.
Because, like I say, it really helps
really
develop the little community that we're building. And look, who doesn't need to hear us argue about how Jeff Bridges gives to people?
Gives to young boys. Yeah, tell everybody. Tell your friends. Tell your mum. Tell your nan. We want as many people listening to this as we can. We're fresh on a new season. It's a great time to join us. Come along and get on board. If you've not already subscribed, hit a subscribe button. I think that's what people do. And then go out and watch Old People. That sounds weird. Go out and watch Old People, and we'll come back next week to talk to you about it.
Cheers.
Bye.